I've been asked this question a whole bunch of times, and I can only answer it like this, okay? So the question is that is Nate Sudfeld ready to take that backup role if something happens to Nick Foles? Everybody that I know personally meaning that lives near me, that I'm acquainted with, people I know personally that think about this trade or think about if Nick Foles can be traded and would it hurt the Eagles. This is a big risk taker. And it's a big risk taker because, number one, you got a starting quarterback with an ACL. And then, number two, you can have the best starting quarterback, backup quarterback tandem in the whole NFL. An MVP candidate with the Super Bowl MVP. It's just unstoppable. Like I said, relax about Carson Wentz. He'll be back. The Eagles know what they're doing. They're very cautious. They will take as long as the timetable that they need to for Carson Wentz to get back on the field. So I went back and looked at Week 17 against the Dallas Cowboys when Nate Sudfeld took the, he pretty much took the field. Foles only played for a quarter, and Nate Sudfeld took over. Didn't really have a bad game, you know what I mean? And we're on the verge of being like, oh, should Nate Sudfeld start? But no. Nate Sudfeld actually had a pretty good game. For his first game, not that bad. But you know what? He looks... If you look at his preseason tape from the Redskins to being an Eagle now, he looks a lot more sharper. His passes are more accurate. He's better in the pocket. And thank God we had Frank Reich, John DeFilippo working with the kid and doing their thing. If you look at how he plays when he was on the Redskins to how he plays on the Eagles now, he is 100% times better. Okay, his pocket presence, the way he could stay in the pocket, how poised he is. Like, he was literally standing in that pocket. He looked like Wentz. Like, it's just a mirror shadowing image of Wentz in that pocket. And doing his thing. I really enjoyed it. And then him getting a nice little 27-yard run. You know what I mean? The guy's got speed. Harry Roseman and Doug Pearson think that this kid can honestly be a backup quarterback in this league. They have high praise for him. I hope the Philly fans have high praise for him. I surely have a little bit of high praise for him because, you know what? I think he has more of a chance. He's better than Matt McGloin, whatever these other friggin' quarterbacks we've had in preseason training camp, have looked horrible. But this Nate Sudfeld, man, he looks pretty promising to be some type of a solid person. And honestly, when you look at this whole Nick Foles thing going on, you're not going to have value in Nick Foles next year. Nick Foles I don't want him to go. I really don't. But if it's an offer you can't refuse, I don't know. It's going to be a hard decision on Harry Roseman. It's up to him. I can't even make that answer for him. It's going to be a really hard decision. It really is. And I thank God I would not be that person to make those decisions, for the Philadelphia Eagles. Because, man, that must be a gut-wrenching... they're probably so used to doing it, it doesn't really matter. But, I would just be so stressed about it. If Carson Wentz didn't get hurt, then it's a different story. Then you get rid of Nick Foles and you get whatever you could get. But you know what? Everyone's looking at this. I've already talked about Carson Wentz's injury. I'm not even going to get into that because you've already heard me talk about it. Talk to you guys about why you shouldn't be worried. And everyone needs to friggin' pipe it down and fucking relax about the damn injury. The Eagles are in great consideration and taking care of it with the doctors and everything. Just trust in their judgment. Trust me. If Sidney Jones was supposed to be back week 7, he didn't make it till week 17, then we're good, guys. Then we're 100% fine. Okay? But Nate Sudfeld, man, looked really good in that pocket. He was very poised. He was really just... He could... He could sense if somebody's chasing him, if he senses pressure behind him, he ran away from it. There was one where he, was holding it, went up the middle, scrambled up the middle a little bit, and he tripped. And the field was actually bad that day because we actually tripped a few times in that game. And tripped and, would have made a nice pass. And then, I think Matt Collins dropped one, Torrey Smith dropped one. A few guys dropped them. Plus, he wasn't in with all the starters. So Alshon Jeffrey really wasn't playing. I know Torrey Smith, I think, went in for a few snaps. And that's really it. Matt Collins got a little bit of a role. Marcus Smith. I forgot the other receiver with the dreads that we have. Went in for a few times during the game. So guys got their chances. He wasn't with all the starters. I mean, Blunt played a good portion of the game, and seeing what's going on with that. But honestly, like, Nate Sudfeld is, you know, that's his first NFL game, okay? So for his first NFL game, and then when he was sitting there in the pocket and he threw a perfect pass those times, honestly, I had nothing to really complain about. But, you know, this is tough. This is not easy. And we might be worrying for nothing. They might not even do a damn thing. But there's way too many teams right now that I want quarterbacks. There's way too many teams. The Browns are considering to fucking, you know, I mean, I understand, like, at the 4th overall they can get a starting quarterback probably. But I mean, seriously, like, you're holding 2 first-round picks. I mean, you've already had enough picks over the years and stolen picks from people, have gotten a lot of picks from people, and still haven't picked the right fucking guys. What makes you think giving up the 1st overall pick now is really going to make a fucking difference? It just pisses me off sometimes. But not to get off topic. But then you have, you know, you have the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals is sitting there and he's like, you know, I like what we have at quarterback, but you know what I mean? We're going to evaluate it, you know, PR words, evaluate it. You know, Palmer, you know, retired, and they don't have anybody. And the thing is, they have the 14th overall pick. They're not going to be able to get a quarterback that's going to start immediately, or at least a guy that's more towards the high tier where, you know, he needs a little bit of shaping up to do, a little bit of a project throughout the year, and then they can start him. You know, they can just get him in there as fast as possible. They're not going to get a high caliber guy like that at pick number 14. So they have no choice, but head coach to the Arizona Cardinals said, quote unquote, we are looking to trade for a quarterback. They're not going to get Kirk Cousins because the Vikings and the Jets are high into that. Kirk Cousins, I already found out today, is probably going to go to the Vikings, most likely. So we'll see you at the home field. And, you know, it's just going to be one of those fucking years, man. It's just, you know, this offseason and what this whole thing with Nick Foles and Nate Sudfeld and everything that's going on. So they want to trade for a quarterback, but who are they going to trade for? They're going to trade for Brock Osweiler. They're going to trade for a Simeon. They're going to trade for, I mean, who are they really going to trade for? Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater? Sam Bradford, maybe? Sam Bradford, but I think Sam Bradford will end up being the backup in the Vikings locker room, probably, because he's the most reliable. I don't know. To this point, I really don't know, and it's hard, man, because I don't want Foles to leave. But even if the Cardinals traded their 14th overall pick to the Eagles, 14th overall, and at least 2 picks, a 14th overall first rounder and maybe a 3rd rounder, or a 3rd rounder next year, or a 2nd round next year, or I don't know, you know, for, you know, for Nick Foles and a 5th round pick or something like that, something. Or you do a 14th overall pick and a player that the Eagles want, that they'll take on the contract, you know, whoever's, you know, on their team that's valuable. I understand that Jalen Mills is trying to get the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, to, you know, the safety for the Arizona Cardinals, to come right to the Eagles, because Tyrann Mathieu played for LSU. You know, and that's a whole thing, you know, it's a whole nother fucking story. But that's not report, that's not rumor, that's just Jalen Mills. A bunch of people. Michael Thomas did the same thing to Tyrann Mathieu. It's not even a video I should even make, because it's nothing that's a good rumor. It's nothing that's really... There's nothing official with that. That's just, players do that every year. But it is what it is. So, you know, Nate Sudfeld had a better season this year. And, you know, even though it was his first NFL start, you know, he's with a good quarterback in Carson Wentz. He's with a good quarterback he could learn from in Nick Foles. He was with a good quarterback coach in John DeFilippo. He's with a good offensive coordinator in Frank Reich. So there's a lot that goes into this, but, you know, do not trade Nick Foles for a bag of peanuts. And I know that this team will not do that. But when it comes down to, you know, the future, and if Carson Wentz is going to be good for week 1, that's just the only thing. He might not be good for week 1. We do not know. But it doesn't mean that the timetable doesn't matter to me. Whenever they think he's ready, he'll be ready. But if it's going to take a few weeks, a week or two, whatever, they got to see what they have, because, you know, if you don't have Nick Foles, then you got to rely on Nate Sudfeld. And thank God preseason's going to be coming in a few, you know, down the road, because Nate Sudfeld's going to have a lot of reps in camp, a lot of reps in preseason, okay? And it's good, because I actually want to see Nate Sudfeld play in preseason, see what he can do, a lot more than we can do, you know what I mean? I know we'll have about 4 quarterbacks in there, probably, most likely, because of preseason. You need to have at least a few guys, 2 on the practice squad, 2, you know, 2 or 3, you know, on the roster, when we usually have 3. But I have a feeling that Nick Foles will be traded, and I'm harping on the Arizona Cardinals because of what was said by the head coach and everything like that. And it's going to be for the first-round pick, probably. I wouldn't doubt it. But in Nate Sudfeld's, like, defense, the guy only started 1 game. The guy actually didn't look that bad at all, because really he did not look bad. He actually, you know, it was a shitty game, 3rd stringers against Dallas's first defense. I mean, he went in there and did his stuff, and he made some good throws, and he was moving around the pocket, and he was poised, sitting in that pocket, calm, no hesitation, no, you know what I mean? He was very calm, and he learned from the best in Carson Wentz, the best in Nick Foles, and the best in John DeFilippo. So it's going to be a really tough decision for Harry Roseman, because you can get $5 million in cap back, get the 14th pick of the draft, and then you got the 32 overall pick of, you know, the last pick of the first round, and you can literally trade that 32nd pick, which I would do in 2 seconds. I would not pick anyone at 32. I take the 14 and I trade that first round pick, the 32nd pick, back to get picks in the 2nd and 3rd round, something like that, because we already have 3 4th round picks, 2 5th rounds, a 6th and a 7th. So there's a lot that can go into this, but it is up to the Eagles, and I will let you guys know what happens, you know, as soon as it happens. If hopefully I'm home when it happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen when I'm, like, at work. Otherwise, I'm definitely gonna make a damn video when I'm at work. But we'll see what happens. It's a matter of time. I wouldn't give up on Nate Sudfeld, because, you know what, they have a lot of praise for him, you know, and we've already seen it firsthand from that Cowboys game that it didn't look pretty, but at the same time, like, he's actually not the worst I've seen. He actually looked pretty damn good for his first start. Just like Sidney Jones went there. Did he play great? No. But did he actually look pretty good? Yeah, for a guy that hasn't played since college, literally hasn't taken a football snap since college. So, due time, give it time. We should hear some news within the coming, probably by next week. Or maybe the Eagles are going to keep this under the radar and do something where the media will not find out about it until, you know, March 14th, the day of free agency. So we will see what happens, but I have a feeling that Nick Foles will. I have a feeling that Nate Sudfeld will be our backup quarterback next year. I just hope that he's ready. I hope that he gets coached very well, even better, and does his thing. Because I think we have a very good quarterback room with all 3 of them, and I think Nate learned a lot from these 3 guys. You know, between Carson and Nick and John. So, you know, I think he learned a lot. And, you know, if you just look at his Redskin preseason. Look, he had a whole preseason, okay? He only had 1 game with us. That's it. That's all he had with us. He didn't have a preseason. He had a preseason, of course, with the Redskins. But he's coached differently over there. You know, coaches coach differently. But here, you look at his tape from the Redskins, he scored some touchdowns, he made some good throws, but he actually looks better technique-wise in the backfield. You know, he looks more, his mechanics are a lot better being with the Philadelphia Eagles this year than he was with Washington. So, that's all I really got to say, guys. So please, let me know what you think about Nate Sudfeld. If, you know, if you really think that he's that bad, we'd have to see him preseason. But let me know what you think. So, shake squad up, fly, go slide. Peace!
Fuck your bitch, get a bag from it, then I never call her. Now she tripping, going crazy, nigga, tell her let her go.